The second part of Chapter 16 will cover breathing mechanisms. Ventilation involves breathing. This is the movement of air in and out of the lungs. It's composed of inspiration and expiration. During inspiration, the atmospheric... Let's look what happens when you breathe in. Inspiration. When you breathe in, the diaphragm, which is a round, dome-shaped muscle, drops down. The external intercostal muscles between your ribs contract, pulling your ribs out and up. This increases the size of your thoracic cage. As the thoracic cage increases, the pressure decreases, and so atmospheric air rushes in. When the external intercostal muscles contract, they take along with it the parietal pleura. Remember that there's surface tension between the two layers of the pleura, and so the lungs are going to follow along with the chest wall and contract. What if you wanted to take deeper breaths? Maximum expansion of thoracic cage is aided by the pectoralis minor and sternocleidomastoid muscles. Expiration or exhaling is due to the elastic recoil of the lung and muscle tissue. This is a passive process. As the size of the thoracic cage decreases, the pressure increases and air exits. But what if you wanted to blow out forcefully? This can be aided by thoracic and abdominal wall muscles. If you push on the diaphragm so that it pushes up even further, you will decrease the size of thoracic cage even more, and you can exhale more forcefully. Maximum expiration also involves the posterior internal intercostal muscles. This pulls your ribs in very close and tight. Again, anything that makes the size of thoracic cage smaller will aid in being able to exhale. Non-respiratory air movements. This is a movement of air that's not involved in respiration. This includes coughing, sneezing, laughing, crying, hiccuping, yawning, and speech. Normal breathing is a rhythmic, involuntary process, even though some of the muscles, such as the diaphragm, are under voluntary control. This allows you to hold your breath. The pons and medulla oblongata contain the respiratory centers. They function to cause inspiration and expiration, which is known as a respiratory cycle, and they're able to adjust the rate and depth of breathing to meet your body's metabolic needs. The alveoli are the only site of gas exchange between the atmosphere and the blood. The respiratory membrane consists of several layers. You have the epithelial cells of the alveoli. These are simple squamous epithelial cells, and the endothelial cells of the pulmonary capillaries. These also consist of simple squamous epithelial cells. Just keep in mind that both of these layers have a basement membrane. Gas exchange occurs across this respiratory membrane. Gases will diffuse from areas of higher pressure to areas of lower pressure. When the partial fraction of oxygen is higher in the air and the alveoli than in the capillary blood, the oxygen will diffuse into the blood. When the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is greater in the blood than the alveolar air, carbon dioxide will diffuse out of the blood and into the alveolus. You do not need to worry about any of the numbers involved in the partial pressure. And with that, we conclude Chapter 16.